Kem, hello, hello. This is it. This is it. This is it. This is it. We're just going to wait for a few more people to come. How are you doing? Can you imagine it's episode 2? Can you hear me, Kem? Yes, we're live, we're live, we're live. Mokwe, hi, how you doing? Hello, girl. Hi, Fikayo, how are you? How are you? Can you hear me? Can you hear me, girl? Good, 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 good. Okay, for a minute there I was a bit nervous. I was like, I hope everybody can hear me. I hope everybody can hear me loud and clear. Yes, 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 yes. Supernova, hi, how are you doing? Good, great. All right. Hello, everyone. It's episode 2 of Mom's Word. That's a time when, we have conversations with moms. Everyone knows we normally have every two Tuesdays, we normally do Young and Strong. And then at the end of the month, we have Mom's Word, when we hear from the moms. My goodness, Shoujo, how are you doing? Nice to see everyone. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you for coming. It's nice to see you all. I'm sure we're in for a great time. I have somebody I'm just excited about having a conversation with. Cecilia, how are you doing, girl? Thank you, my darling bro. Shoujo, I'm doing well. I'm doing well. Shoujo, you have to come on this very soon. I have to put you in. Presito Toying, how are you doing? Nice to have you. Like I was saying, Mom's Word is when we come together and I talk to moms. I mean, we've talked to the young people, then we come and hear the mom side. We come and talk as moms of young people, those who work with young people, those of us who have nieces, nephews, and all that. We come together and we just have a conversation. And today I have somebody, I'm so excited. I love this lady to bits. I've known her since I was about 3 or 4 years old, and so Shoujo, yes, so we're going to do this. And today we're going to be talking, she's going to be the mom on Mom's Word today. So Kem, let's just do this. If you send me a request, I'm just going to bring you on. And I hope today, we have a lovely time. Please make sure you chime in, make sure you send in your comments, send in what your thoughts are. I normally have young people, I have some of my young people joining as well. So it's not just us wonderful older generation. They said I shouldn't say very, very old, but just a bit of the older generation. And, we're going to do this together, and we're going to have, a single Ken Sparkle. This is my sister. I'm just excited. I know we're in for a wonderful, wonderful time. Bobs, how now? That's my sister, Bobs. It's nice to have you. Nice to have you join us. Honestly, showed you they're calling us.
Hey! Okay, my phone's doing something. I can't see the screen yet, but I have a backup here phone anyway. So I don't know.
We'll do this.
It's saying
We'll
connecting.
do this.
Okay, great. All right. Okay, let's chill this a little bit. Hey!
Kim! How are you? How
Hi,
how how
friends.
now? How were
Oh,
you?
I'm fine, actually, yeah. Other than the fact that I was just at the dentist a couple of days ago, so if I kind of talk funny, that's why, yeah. I had a kind of a cracked tooth, so they had to put some apparatus in my teeth, so if it sounds weird, that's what's going on.
Oh my gosh, I'm excited. Finally.
I know, right? This is exciting.
Exciting. Thank you so much, Sister Nika. Thanks for joining us. It's good to have you. Mom's word, Kemi. Today
Oh,
we're going to be
yes.
talking about you as a mom,
Oh,
you
yes.
know. And so before I go into anything, just tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay, so thank you so much for the opportunity, first of all, boss. I want to thank you, and I just want to say, not high five, high 10, for this wonderful program that you're doing. It's so insightful, so informative, so inspiring, and so valuable. So good job. I'm super proud of you. And it's an honor and a privilege to be on this program as a guest. So thank you so much. This is so much needed. Like, you're really bringing so much sparkle to the world in this. So don't underestimate the value of this program. So
Thank you.
yes, you're welcome there. So like we said, we've known each other for like ages. My name's Kemi Osuntokun Ayola, so Bosun and I met when I was Kemi and she was Bosun Falashe. So, we come from way back.
Way
So,
back.
and so now I'm kind of I wear so many hats, mother of 3 wonderful daughters, busy, active daughters that keep me busy, I always tell people ask, oh, did you go to the gym and all that? I'm like, my workout is in my home, There's never a dull moment. But so you've come to visit before, so you can testify to that.
I
Right?
know. I
Exactly.
know.
So my background is legal. I went to UI, did economics, did law in England, But I'm thankful that I'm able to use all these skills in different capacities of the different hats that I wear. I have a passion
Yes.
for like empowering people, young people, women, just adding value to the world in whatever I do. So it's hard to
Good.
kind of say this is what I do. I'm a multi-preneur, multi-skilled, multi-professional, different things.
You
And
do
married to
everything, Kemi.
I know, right?
You do
Married to my high school
everything.
sweetheart, married to my high school sweetheart, me, we have 3 wonderful girls, like I said, and I'm currently in Indiana, the Midwest. Grew up in Ibadan, I love those days. I'm thankful for those days. And so that's kind of a nutshell, I like to just interact with people. I like positivity. I like to talk, as you find out. But someone and I, we're still trying to find out who talks more. So maybe,
You do, Kemi. You've overtaken me now.
so,
You've overtaken me.
that's always, we've always kind of wondered when we're young, like who really is more talkative, but we're still, maybe
I've
we'll let
gone
people decide
quieter.
on the call.
Thank you. So that's Kemi. On Instagram, she's Kem Sparkle. She's doing a lot of things, but today we're going to narrow it down a little bit, and I'm going to talk to you as a mom.
Yes.
Like you said, you're a mom of 3 girls, 3 wonderful daughters. And so I'm going to ask a couple of questions just to get this rolling. And the first thing I'm going to say is, like you said, you grew up in Ibadan. We know we were, brought up the Yoruba way, and now we live abroad. Honestly, Boko, you see, Boko said you win in Turkey.
Oh, Boko,
Anyway,
that's partial, right? I think that was a
so
compliment, though.
so one thing I always like to ask, especially
Yes.
those who, we straddle 2 cultures, Caribbean Western, African Western, Asian Western, how do you straddle this when you are relating to your children? How do you straddle the tradition of being African, or maybe somebody else is Caribbean, and then you have the Western culture of having to bring them up, in America for you, and maybe those who are bringing them in England and all that. How do we
Right.
straddle this?
Right. So good question. And actually, I think that's a very loaded question. And so I think for me, parenting has always been about values. It's always been a values. For me, it's always been about values. That's how I was raised. And a good thing I can speak about how you were raised, because I know your parents so well, like we're family. So, that's how we were raised, about values. So when we make that the foundation, I've been able to, that's how I've been able to apply that across the different cultures, is I go back to the values. So whether it's like an American culture or Nigerian culture, I ask myself, what is the value that this is trying to teach? If I can find the alignment of the value in that, then I pull that in. So in other words, there's some things about the African culture, the Nigerian culture, that I've had to question because it doesn't align with maybe the values that I really support. And so I discard that. And then I look at the American culture and I think, how does this align to the value? So I go from a values foundation. And I find that when you do that, no matter where you live, whether you live in Hong Kong or you live in Japan, or you live in India, or you live in Nigeria, or you live in London, wherever you go in the world, if you make values your metric, you'll be able to adapt to any culture, because at the end of the day, the values will decide what you do and what you don't, what you discard and what you embrace. So that's how I've been able to do that. I've always come back to my values. So if the values in American culture, if I find the alignment with my values, then that's good. I'll embrace it. So I just parent from a place of values more than location or geographical location or culture. I tend to use values more than culture in my parenting.
So what would you say would be some of the values that, because it's very broad, you can say American values. I'm like thinking, what are the American values? I understand a bit more of the African. So what would you say would be the values that you'll be talking about?
A good question. So one example actually, can you tap on values mean? Okay, right. So values are really about the things that let's use a very simple word. What's important? When you say values, what's important? Like, so you're trying to teach a kid about honesty, or you're trying to parent from a place of being respectful or respecting yourself or having integrity. Yeah. So let's say integrity is a value. Integrity is a value, for example. So if in the Nigerian culture, here's a good example. We're raised to kind of respect our adults. If an adult walks into the room, and you're seated down, there are no chairs for anybody else, and you're seated, you can offer your seat to an adult, right? So the value there is respect and kindness, right? Yes. You're being respectful and you're being kind. Now, if you come to the American culture, for example, you may find a parent offering their seat to a younger person, right? Maybe you go in and the kids are standing and the parents say, and you might think, these Americans, why should it be the mom getting up for the child, right? And the Nigerian will first of all object to that. But when you sit down and you look at it, if your values to that extent if mothering to you is more about kindness and nurturing, you can see why a mother will give up her seat for a younger person as opposed to. So when I look at those two things, how do I decide which one I'm going to adopt? On a values basis. In other words, sometimes, yes, I could do that if I feel like maybe the kids had a hard day, I pick them up from sports practice, they're tired, and maybe they need some extra nurturing, then I would do some things that are nurturing. But if it's a different day when I've gone shopping, I come up with a bag of things, I'm tired, there's no seats, and she gets up. So it's not a one cat fits all. It's about using a case-by-case basis. The values are still the same. It's still about kindness. It's still about respect, right? And so in our culture, respect is not always just a one way. It's not always about adults respecting kids, respecting adults. Sometimes adults do respect kids. Respect is not an age thing. It's an interaction. Respect is not limited to age. It's not like only the kids respect the adults. Sometimes as adults too, we need to show respect to people who are even younger than us. So respect is not an age thing. It's not limited to age. So one of the values, for example, that some cultures choose to emphasize is that aspect of respect not being limited to age. So that's an example of how the values. So respect is the value, but the application of the value is the scenario that I just described. So that's kind of a good example.
Okay. Yes. So I get that.
So somebody says, okay, don't go to parties at night. In a culture, they say, oh, you're not allowed to go to parties at night. Ask yourself, what value are you trying to teach? Responsibility, being wisdom, being mindful, being safe. Those are all things. So in a culture, I find that when we parent from a place of values, we're able to explain more than just don't do this, don't do that. We can say, don't do this because, the cause and the benefit. So that's kind of how I look at values. I look at what your goal is, what's important here, what are we trying to teach here, what are we trying to portray here, what message are we trying to put across here?
To our children, yes.
So like I said, I go to Hong Kong and the culture there is like XYZ. I ask myself, what value is this culture trying to teach? And if it aligns with my values, then that's okay. And if it doesn't, regardless of what's going on there, I will choose to teach my kids in the way that aligns with the values that I want them to have.
Thank you. I mean, that is just, I'm not sure how much more I can, emphasize that. And Shoujo brought up something that was very interesting. She said, so when the adults are not doing the right things, and it was something that we were going to discuss. I know a lot of times, like you said, in a cultural setting, a lot of times it's very difficult, to challenge the adults, especially as a mom. Yeah. Especially our parents. Can we afford to take criticism, or how do we take criticism from our children?
Oh, that's a great point. Actually, that's a good question. And I think that it comes from the mindset. First of all, when we unpack that word criticism, maybe perhaps the first thing we need to do is replace that word with feedback. When we look at it, we call it feedback, you're not as defensive anymore. You're not as it's not a negative thing anymore. When you look at it like feedback. So when a kid is saying, oh, mom, I don't like what you did there, or I don't like how you handled that, I don't like how you treated me or did something. When you replace that word criticism from feedback, your guards, you relax a little bit. You don't feel like now, oh, you're being rude. Oh, you're challenging me. Oh, who is the parent? You know, you find that you're more likely to be reasonable when you replace that word criticism with feedback. This child is giving you feedback. And so, what, and the good point about that is that when you look at feedback, it's a dialogue. You have an opportunity to explain the situation, to clarify things, to ask them for more questions, to get an understanding of what, where, and how they came to that conclusion. And it becomes a very constructive conversation as opposed to more of a challenging one where it's like, you're criticizing me, you know. Look at it like an opportunity to have a dialogue that's going to benefit both parties by the end of that conversation. So that's kind of, and what we're teaching our kids in doing that is we're teaching them that it's okay to learn from others. It's okay to get feedback. And how do we process feedback when it doesn't come the way that we would like it to come? When it's not, nobody likes to be told that, oh, I don't like what you did, or I don't like how you handled that. But that may be an opportunity to clarify things, to set the record straight, to teach them, to hear from them, to understand them, to get to know them better. Because, for example, maybe you have a child who's shy. Maybe you have a child who's very shy, a shy child. Maybe a friend of yours comes into the house, and then you say, "Oh, Ronke, come on, show her that dance we were doing yesterday in the house." And she's like, "Oh, mom." Well, and then maybe after the guest goes, maybe the child comes down and then doesn't really do the dance, and then they're like, "Do it properly now. You mean you are doing it yesterday? Yes. Why are you now being all shy and all that?" And then the child just cringes, and then after the guest goes, the child says, "Mom, I don't like what you just did. Why do you call me to come and dance for that auntie? You know why? You know?" And you're like, "What? Why?" Like, you know. But maybe the other person say, "Oh, really? Oh, what did you find awkward about that?" And the child can tell you, "Oh, I found it awkward because one, I'm a little shy. I didn't want to, you know, I hadn't finished the dance routine yet. It's not done yet. Or I just didn't like dancing for people I'm not familiar with." Then you get to know your child better. But if you don't give the child a chance to really explain to them why they were acting that way and all that, then you're going to find that you're going to miss out on understanding your child better and showing them consideration. You know, consideration is not limited to age as well. We as parents need to be considered the same way we tell kids to be considered. It's a two-way street. Parenting is a two-way street. It's a relationship building thing. It's not about authority. It's not about being militant, or it's about being, you know, putting your foot down. It's about building a relationship that's going to help your child thrive and flourish. And it's about you two having that relationship to build in a way that's going to be productive. So that's why I find that if we change that word criticism to feedback, it would help a lot in how we process that situation.
Yes, but and I think it leads to another question when you say feedback.
Yes.
Because I mean, I was having a conversation with a parent some time back, and I was thinking, can parents be? Are you able to be vulnerable in front of your child? Can you afford to be vulnerable with your children? You know, can you afford to be to show them that you are not there's always these things that you want to show that, you know, I know it all, I'm perfect, you know, I'm the mom here, you know. Can you afford to show them that you don't really know sometimes?
Absolutely, I absolutely, you can. And the reason is vulnerability is about reality, and it's about being real. You know, it's about being real. And so the realness that you show them in how to navigate life is your opportunity to teach them how they can be real as well. You see, because if you portray an image where it's like, I know it all, you know, I can't learn anything new, I figured everything out, there's, you know, and you create that impression, that's going to close the door to them being vulnerable as well. And then so on the one hand, you're portraying this image of this perfect parent, but then you're telling your child, tell me anything, you know, I'm your mom, feel free to open up to me, you know, you can share anything with me. Those two things do not align. Because on the one hand, you've set up an unrealistic standard of perfection, and you're asking them to be vulnerable. If you want them to be vulnerable, you'll be vulnerable in a productive way. Say, you know what, this is a new thing for me. I haven't experienced this before. We're learning together. Let's come together. Let's unite. We're a team. You can do vulnerability. Doesn't have to be a weakness. It can be done in strength. I call it strong vulnerability with strength. You don't have to be a kind of like, oh man, I don't know. It doesn't have to be a throw your arms up in the air situation. It can be a, look, this is new for me. I've not had a child who's doing soccer or who wants to go into acting. I haven't had that before. Let's learn together. You know, let me we can, you know, you can do it in an empowering way. Vulnerability in an empowering way that's going to empower you and empower them. So it's how you approach that vulnerability that matters more than the vulnerability itself.
Okay. Now you said something about the fact that, you know, your children being able to open up to you because you're vulnerable. How do you think you can build that relationship so that your child can come and open to you? Because one thing, I mean, for those who've been following Young and Strong, one thing that the young people keep coming and saying, and I don't know if the young people on here can vouch for that, is that they find it difficult that they'll first go to their friends or their peers before they come and talk to their moms, you know. How can we navigate that and build that relationship so that we know that our kids come and talk to us? Especially sometimes, like they said, is when it has reached, you know, the peak.
Yeah,
Right? There's nowhere else to go.
When the friends can't help anymore, they're like, okay, man, take it to your mom or me, I'm tired. By then, and sometimes by then, it could have been handled differently and earlier. Exactly. And that's a good point. And let's say that, you know, let's ask ourselves is why do we think they take those things to the friends first? It's because of that non-judgmental thing that they feel with their friends. Because they feel like the friends too are struggling with the same things, can relate to the problem better than the parents. So in order to be able to replace that running to the friends, we have to give them that confidence and that assurance that we are going to listen in a non-judgmental way and focus more on the solution than judging. You see, there's a difference between judging somebody and finding a solution. And you can teach, you can teach kids and you can address issues without coming across as the judgmental parent, where it's okay, look, how did you know, you can ask questions to help them reset their mind. Like, why did you make that choice? You know, the why questions. The why questions are very good to help kids begin to take a step back. Okay, so now you failed that class, or you didn't go to that class and you got an F in that class, or you took on something you signed up for a sport you didn't enjoy, or friendship problems. You know, let me give you an example. Friendship problems is a very good one. Like in our culture, if you go to a parent and you say, oh, I don't have any friends in school, nobody's, you know, everybody's excluding me, they'll say, did I send you to go and be friends? Is it friends you send you to school to go and read your book? That's not realistic. You know, that doesn't solve the problem, you know. So maybe in our generation we could figure that out. But in this generation where social interaction is a big part of their lifestyle, we need to also be understand that what it means to a teenager to not have friends is different to what it means to you and me, a 50-year-old, not to have enough to be excluded. So we have to somehow put ourselves in their shoes when we think and put on that hat. You see, as a parent, we have to be able to wear many hats. What hat do you need to wear to address this? Ask yourself that every time. What hat do I need right now? Sometimes you need to put yourself in the shoes of a 15-year-old girl to be able to relate to what they really need, to be able to help them. You know, think about you as a 15-year-old, like that's where the empathy comes from. Empathy is putting yourself in somebody's shoes and trying to experience what they're experiencing. Without empathy, it's hard to be understanding and hard to be considerate and hard to be able to come up with solutions that are going to help somebody in their situation, because you need to be in that place first where you think, oh, let me see what this looks like. You're in a different country. Maybe you're in London. You're a minority in your class. Now, the only two people you have as friends, they're excluding you. That's not an easy thing to deal with. You know, that's not easy because, for example, we as diasporan parents, there's so many things that we didn't experience that our kids are experiencing. Because maybe when we were in school, you know, we were not the minority. We grew up in Nigeria, went to All Saints and all that, you know. But our kids are going to schools where some of them are minorities, some of them have issues that we didn't have. We need to be able to relate to their issues, even though we've not experienced those things ourselves.
Wow. And we can only relate if we listen to how it's like, exactly. because we don't know.
And yes, and that's why they go to their friends sometimes. They think, you know what, my friend will understand this, so they take it to their friends because they feel that their friends are more able to relate to the problem than the parents can. So in order to win them over, where they can come to us with those things first, is we need to let them understand that even though we didn't experience these things, we understand, and we're here to help them find a solution, not to be dismissive. Being dismissive is saying, oh, it doesn't matter, find another friend, blah, blah, blah. That's being dismissive. You know, listening is about hearing what the person is saying, empathizing, and trying to understand what they, not you, are going through in that situation.
Okay, because a lot of times we interpret it like, you know, this is me, the parent. You're not thinking about it from the child's point of view.
Exactly. You're thinking about it from like, what would you do if you were me? You know, how did I handle it? How did I handle that 40 years ago? That's not relevant, you know, to a certain point, you know, because think about it. You have to align things in a way that helps you come up with a constructive solution to problems. And part of that is asking yourself, did you experience this? And if you didn't, how is it different now? What can I do to help this person right now? You know what I mean? So a child comes to you, oh, mommy, everybody's flat ironing their hair. I don't want to do braids. You know, you have to understand. Okay, let's talk about that. Why do you want to do braids? You know the why. So you can see whether it's kind of a self-esteem issue or just more of a convenience thing. Why do they not want braids? Why do they want to flat iron their hair and not have braids? But in our own generation, like we said, no flat iron. You are braiding your hair. End of story. Chapter closed, and we're okay with it. But over here, this generation, you need to give more information and understand why that problem is coming up. You know, why do the braids? Why don't you want to wear braids? Why do you want to flat iron your hair instead? Because in asking those questions, you find out what the real problem is, the underlying factor. You know, maybe she wore braids last week and somebody said, "Oh, your braids look funny," and so that's why she doesn't want braids anymore. She may not tell you that. She just say, "I don't want braids, mommy. I don't want to do braids next week, or I don't want to do braids." And you're wondering why you did braids last week now. But the problem, maybe somebody made fun of our braids last week. So when you take time to listen and ask questions, you understand what's really prompting those problems, and then you can say, "Oh, somebody made fun of your braids last week. Okay, you know what? This is bad," and then you can address that and help them understand that. And maybe at the end of the day, they'll go back to doing the braids. Now they've learned something. You've empowered them. Okay, next time somebody calls your braids funny, tell them that this is it's a glorious hairstyle. You know, it's a hairstyle of the queens. African queens wear braids. Let them, and you can take that and teach them something. So that when they wear the braids next week, they're empowered. They wear their braids, and now they're empowered to deal with the situation that they go and encounter back in school. But you just said, "Oh, you can't do flat iron. You're doing braids," and you shut it down there. That the kid now still has the same problem, and they haven't been helped. They don't have anything to go back to school with, and now they're wearing that braids, and they're now like this in the class with their braids. And then you wonder why kids now become timid, intimidated, not confident, because they haven't been able to address their issues the correct way. So listening and being understanding. Listen. Ask questions, as many as we need to.
Now, that even flows even into the next question I was going to ask, which is interesting what you said. Listen.
Yeah.
Now, I know as a mom, and I know all the moms on here, we want the best for our children.
Mm-hmm, absolutely.
But sometimes that can come as demands.
Mm-hmm.
You understand? You're saying, "Oh, I want you to go to school. I want you to have a degree. I want you to marry the best person. I want.
Yeah.
You know, but they're good things. We want good things for them. You understand? This is how I want you to dress. This is how I want you to, you know. And sometimes, even though our intentions are actually good, they come across as demands. So how do you think we can handle it better? Well, you want the best, but you know, it comes across as a demand.
Right. Good. Very good question, boss. Now, you know the flaw in that itself. You know the easy answer to that. You got to rephrase that. You have to go from "I want" to "this will be good for you." Because when you say "I want," it's about you. It's about you, the parent. I want you to do this. Let's listen to that statement. Me, the mom. I want this. I want you to do this. I want you to do that. Think about replacing that with "this will be good for you." You turn the table. It's not about them, not you. Because then they can see the value. It's not turned into a value statement, not a demanding statement. It's not now "I want this, I want it." It's not it'll be good for you if you did this. It'll be good for you if you did that. If you rephrase the question from "I want" to "this will be good for you," the kids can instantly see the value, and that it's about what's good for them as opposed to what you want for yourself. Even though that "I want" thing can still be good for them, but that word "I want" comes across as a demand for your own benefit more than for theirs. So by changing and flipping that into "it will be good for you if you did this. It will be good for you if you did that," they can see that it's about their benefit. You know, it will be good for you to do this and that, and I'll be happy. And you make it about them first. Make it about the benefit to them first. So they can see that, again, the value in what you're suggesting. You know, so rather than say, "I want you to study law," it will be good for you to study law because you're very good at analyzing things. You're very good at being very expressive, you know. So now you've suggested to them that you showed them the value of you wanting them to study law. It's not for what you want, it's about what will be beneficial to them.
Okay.
Good way to start off that phrase itself. It's changing the statement itself from "I want you to," "this will benefit you, this will serve you well, oh, this will be great for you, oh, this will be such a wonderful idea, this will be really exciting for you, this will be so useful for you." You know, make it about the benefit for them versus what you want.
I see. Okay, but I mean, I know this might be, maybe I'm playing the advocate here.
Oh, go ahead.
But what do you think? But But wait, after all the gist, you can see that your child is not making the right choice or the right choices. I mean, it's almost to you, it's obvious, but to the child, it's not. You know, your young child, your teenager, you are like, this thing is not going to pay you. You know, there's a saying we say in Yoruba that I mean, the thing that a child will stand up and see, an adult can sit down and see it. I don't know how true that is, but that's what it is. You know, and you can see that this thing is not going to pay this child, you know. But the child is saying, this is what I want to do. How do you navigate something like that when they're making wrong choices?
Right, exactly. So I think that the first approach to that, personally for me, if I had that situation going on, is I'll have to understand, again, the why. You see, the why, if you know the power of the why, you know, and anybody listening to this, take this statement with you. The power of the why. If you make why your toolbox, it will open up so much, and it will be such a problem-solving tool. Because when somebody's making a choice, the first thing you have to focus on is not the choice, not the what choice they're making, why they're making that choice.
Okay.
If you go take that step back in understanding the why, it will be hard to understand the what. And it will be hard to help them undo that choice if you don't understand why they're making that choice in the first place. So if they decided to go a certain route that you can see that it's not going to be beneficial to them, that's not going to be a good choice for them, ask them, okay, why are you choosing to do this? Let them explain to you why they're choosing to do that. And in that explanation, you can break it down and show them what the issue is. Because maybe sometimes explanation they give you may not be outright wrong, maybe one component of it that has a problem. So they say, okay, why are you not going to college? Oh, because I want to be a dancer, for example. I like dancing, I'm good at dancing, I want to be a dancer, I want to go to college. I said, okay, why do you think going to college is going to be an obstacle to your dancing? Let them explain to you why. That question alone may show them that going to college.
Okay, we've had a bit of a break. Okay, we'll come. We lost a bit of your connection there, Kemi, but I'm sure, I really hope you're going to come back. So while she's there, I mean, we've been talking about why. Okay, great. The why. Okay. The power of the why.
Right, exactly. Right, exactly. So asking that question is going to help them break it down. And so that way you can take a step back and help them remake that decision and be a part of that decision making. That's the opportunity that, you see, when you ask people why, it shows to them that you're not only listening, but you are genuinely concerned. You see, that's what the why does. Why do you feel that? That's why, even if you look at, for example, even therapists, for example, one of the most important things they ask clients is why. If you say, oh, nobody at work likes me, why do you think so? You see, if you don't ask the why question, you cannot understand somebody fully well until you know the why behind their decision. If you think you know anything, if there's somebody you have made a decision, a choice that you have a problem with, unless you know why, you cannot really judge that person. That's why I post a lot on my pages. You know, don't judge people, don't do this, because if you don't know their why, you cannot begin to judge what they're doing. Because when you know people's why, you will be able to then see where they're coming from. When you know where they're coming from, you can help guide them to where they need to be going. That's what the why does. The why helps you understand how did you get here? How did you get to this choice? How did you get to this decision? How did you arrive here? As a parent, when you ask your kids the why questions, it's a tremendous opportunity to understand what is really going on and to help them redesign their decision and their choice. It can be what puts them back on track to where you want them to be. That why question is the tool that's going to help you break down what's going on and reassemble it in a way that is going to be beneficial for them. But to just address the what they're doing without taking a step back and the why, it's going to be a challenging thing. It's going to be a power struggle, especially if they're older. Because once they get old enough to decide on what they want to do, you see, when they're younger and you can enforce yourself on them, it's easy. But when they get to an age where you can't anymore, then that's where and a lot of parents don't understand that until they get to that age where you say, oh, because maybe before you could say, oh, if you don't do this, we're not going to live in this house. Maybe when they're 10, you can say that, you know, and they'll be like, and now they follow your rules because they don't have a choice. When they're 21 or 22, you say you're not going to live in this house. Okay, bye. They can go get a job and they can go rent their own house. What do you see? If you don't build that relationship at a certain age, when they will just wait till they can have control, and at that point, as a parent, you're left hanging, because at that point you can't hold them ransom to all those things anymore, like a house, a roof to live in, pay your school fees, you know, pay for your bills. There come a time when they don't need those things from you. If you want to be a parent that's relevant when they're 30 and when they're 40, you need to build that relationship from when they're 10.
Right.
Otherwise, they're going to outgrow your rules and regulations after a matter of time, because they don't have to conform to it at that point anymore. So that's why I always say, parent from a place of relationship, not a place of rules. Because relationships are going to be nurtured and rules. That's why as a 40-year-old, some people on this call still call their moms for things. Why? Because the relationship has been built that way. Yes. And some people don't call their parents anymore, because they're just waiting to be able to leave that house, and they're not even going back there for anything. So look at the difference. What determines whether they come back and talk to you is going to be the relationship that you built when they were in your house. Period. That's the reality of the matter. You see, because after a certain time, they don't need money from you anymore, and they don't need the roof over their head from you anymore. But you still want to be a relevant parent when they're 20, and when they're 30, when they're 40. So we need to really pay attention to how we're building a relationship when they're younger. And it's about being consistent. It's about asking the why questions, being a part of their decision making in a very constructive way. So that's kind of this is personally my own mantra for this, you know.
Ask them the why. So yeah, almost, I mean, sometimes, yeah, that was something, and it's interesting because the young person actually said parents should tell us why. So not only did you ask why, but you also should tell them why you're asking them to. So the why goes both ways. I want you to do this because, and then you need to, why are you doing what you are doing? So why is not just one-way traffic,
it's not a one-statement thing. Why? You know, maybe you've heard that thing, because I said so. You know, that's old school traditional. We were okay with that, because in the generation we lived in, you have to take that as an answer. You know what I mean? Why can't I go to the party now? Because I said so. You know, in that generation it worked, right? That was it. You go sit down. No, you're not going. No, right? For this generation, if you're going to if you really want it to be beneficial, add the reason. You can't go to that party because it's too late, it's past your curfew, it's too far, I don't want you driving back at night, I don't want you being stranded there. Give a reason so they can understand the value. Because there'll come a time when you can't control whether they go to the party or not. When they're in college or university, they will not be asking if they can go to the party. But if you teach them the value, they will take that value even when you're not watching them. So everything that my father, as you know, boss, my mom passed when I was 7, right? So my dad spent a lot of time raising me through my teenage years. When I got to UI, a lot of the things that I did was not because I can do it, I had the freedom, but I already had those values. And so even when I had the freedom, I didn't do it because I already believed in those values myself. So nobody had to tell me, you know, because at that point, I could have I've done whatever I wanted, because my dad is here in the house. He's not watching me when I was in UI. He's not kind of watching where I go out Saturday night. But the values that he taught me about those things, when he could put the rules down, those values, I use them even when so I always tell people, you see, there comes a time when you can't police your kids anymore, but you want them to have the values with them. So even when you're not policing them, they police themselves.
They police themselves.
Yes,
of course.
You see, but you focus more on just policing and not teaching values. You see, teaching values, I'll be honest with you, it takes more time, it takes more effort, because to explain to somebody why, the reason, they're going to have to spend some time. It's easier to say, because I said so, I'll be going. That's the easier route to do it that way. Just say, because I said so, I'm you know, that's easy, it's quick, and you're done. But when you want to really teach them important values, you're going to have to spend time. It's going to take time, energy, effort, commitment. And you may think it's kind of like an effort, but it's going to pay off. It's going to be worth every time. It's going to be worth it. It's going to be worth every time you spend, every effort you put in, every commitment is going to be worth it in the long run. It's better to do the hard work now. To do the hard work now, and you see the benefits in future, than trying to just find an easy one answer thing now. And then when they're older, they don't have anything to fall back on. It's like, well, she policed me then, she's not here to police me now. I'm just going to go ahead and do it, because they don't have that value to fall back on. Values are things that you carry along with you through your life, through the seasons of life. You remember my mom said, you know, I remember this. So there's some things that even a 50-year-old you still recall, and you're still using those values to guide your choices and your decisions even up till now.
Up till now, yes.
They took the time to teach you those things.
Yes. I know it's interesting, because I think a couple of days ago I was talking to my husband, and I said something my mom used to say.
Exactly.
I'm like, I said, my mom used to say this. You know, and it's
Exactly.
very interesting because I mean, how that right now, my mom passed away a couple of years ago, you know, and all that. So let me put you on the spot again. And there's some things where you said, oh, if I knew by then what I know now, maybe some things you've done before and you've been like, ah, Kemi, if I had known, I wouldn't have done it. I wouldn't have done it.
Right. Maybe you'd have had. Okay. So let me think about some things like that. I think it's maybe one of the things is if I'd known maybe how different maybe like some of the cultural differences are, you know, maybe earlier on, one would have started addressing some of those things maybe we're talking about even like maybe like before you even got to those places, kind of prepare the kids for like, okay, you know what, this is going to be different, you know, when you get here. So sometimes I think as Nigerian parents, maybe because we grew up in a different place, it's very easy to be in a mindset of thinking that things are still the same way. The experience out there is different. And so now suddenly we're confronted with the reality that this is a different generation, different things are going on, and now we're having to adjust. We're having to make some adjustments, you know. So one thing is, I would say we do differently maybe is like maybe start the adjustment process earlier rather than later. So
Who
don't
are
wait
we
for
adjusting, the children or ourselves? Start getting your.
more for us, our own adjustment. So if anybody listening has a 5-year-old now, don't wait till she's a teenager and say, okay, when she's a teenager, I'll do, you know, start the process now. If there are things, maybe cultural things you need to address, find a way to incorporate it earlier on.
Okay,
You know,
okay, I see
because it's
what you
going to be
mean.
easier. If you want her to like her fussy hair, her kinky hair, if you want her to like her fussy hair as a 13-year-old, start making her like it as a 5-year-old.
Of
You know,
course.
don't wait till like she's 13 and say, oh, that texture is good. There's nothing wrong with kinky hair. If you want her to love kinky hair, start early. The earlier, the better. You know. But I think for a lot of diaspora parents, sometimes where maybe if you live in a community where maybe you hang around with a lot more maybe people like you, maybe like the Nigerian community, sometimes you think that you don't need those things because after all, our circle is kind of similar. My friends are all Nigerian women, our kids are all Nigerian kids, and it's easy to kind of think that that's your circle, whereas the reality is the circle is much larger than that.
That's not your children's circle, is it?
Yeah, they're gonna meet people who think differently from them, look different, and act different. So start thinking about those things earlier on, and how do you want to, as a parent, address those things earlier on? You know, if your child is in like middle school now, start thinking about high school. What do I need to start empowering them? So start earlier rather than later. For me personally, I think what helped was that because I've always worked with girls, I always did like girl programs. So even before my kids got to that age, I've started thinking ahead of those things. But sometimes as a parent, you still think, oh, I should have done this a little earlier. You always kind of, as a parent, I think, and that's part of being hard on ourselves. I think we moms do that a lot more than maybe the men do. We're always kind of assessing ourselves, evaluating ourselves, and thinking, oh, I should have done this. But I think that one thing I always say to parents too is that always pat yourself on the back. No matter what you're doing, you know, don't wait for others to just know that tell yourself cool, share, you're doing a good job.
I've tried.
You know, compliment yourself because honestly, no matter what kind of parent you are, one thing I know is you're doing a good job, you're doing the best, and you have good intentions. So compliment yourself for that. Don't be too hard on yourself. Just say, okay, you know what? Maybe I did that yesterday that way. I know better now. I'll do different tomorrow. Because that's what's going to empower you and give you energy. When we beat ourselves down as parents, it doesn't energize us. You know, as a parent, you cannot keep beating yourself that, if I had known, I should have told this child, I should have done this. That I should have, could have, is very draining. And you can admit mistakes without beating yourself down. Just say, oh, I made that, I should have made a different choice, and now I know better. You know, when you turn your mistakes into learning opportunities, it's empowering. When you make them a hammer to beat yourself down, then it's deflating. So we're not saying don't own up to mistakes. We're saying own up to mistakes, but do it in an empowering way. Say, now I know better. The child says, mommy, you did something wrong. Sorry. There's nothing wrong with saying sorry. Okay, now I know better. We'll do it differently tomorrow. That is so empowering. I've learned something new. I know something different. I understand it better. And tomorrow we'll do it differently. That is so empowering to not only you as a parent, but to the child as well. You see, so that's why mistakes are not supposed to be hammers that put us down. There's things that help us learn and do things better. Mistakes to be used as a stepping stone, not as a hammer to beat each other or other parents and say, look at that woman, no, see what she's doing that. And that's something that I would like to add to this as well. As women, let's not point fingers all the time and say, look at that woman, look how she's doing that, you know, because one, you're not walking in her shoes, you don't know what she's going through, You don't know what exactly the situation is. So it's very easy to sit back in our own house and be judging people. That's one thing that I'm very particular about. I don't judge other moms because I don't know what they're dealing with. The only thing, instead of offering judgment, offer understanding and offer help. If what she's doing is wrong, how do you want to help her? You see, anybody can be a critic. What we need more, we don't need any more critics, we need more helpers. Helpers, we need more helper moms. Moms that will reach out in help, not in judgment. That will say, I see that your child's hair is rough. You know, I know how to do hair. Bring her to my house. I'll do her hair for her. So saying, you saw the hair that her child had in church last Sunday. You see that hair that the child, how can you bring the child to church with that kind of hair? You see, we need moms who are going to reach out in love and help. Say, I know how to do hair. Bring Ronke over. I'll do her hair for her. Without judging. You see, when we judge, you can't judge and love in the same way. Judgment, negative judgment is not a positive feedback. You know, so we need more moms to be helpers, to reach out across the aisle, across the world, across the next house, across the next community. You know, if we do that more as moms, we will be better for it together as moms. We're not competing. We're here to help each other up. So sometimes when our kids see that, it helps because you're telling your kid, see your friend, look at, and you're putting other kids down to your kids. You're sending the wrong message to the kids, and you're not helping them build good values. Because they too are learning that it's okay to judge people in a negative way. But you say, your friend, you know, her hair looks, you know, tell your friend I do hair, you know. So let's teach our kids to be kind. Let's show them the values that we want them to embrace. When you see us criticizing other people, other moms, other children, putting them down, back, talking about them, we're sending the wrong message. Let's, as mothers, see ourselves as collaborators, not competitors. It's not a game. It's not a race. And we're not competing about who's going to have the best kid, you know. You know, it's not about, her kid didn't get all A's. This person, you know, no, that's not. If we look at it like, you know what, this is what has helped my kid succeed. We like, let me give you more information on that without doing it in a very negative, condescending way. We can be helpful without being condescending and judgmental. So that's important to also teach our kids, you know. And one thing that I'd like to add as well is two things that I think summarize parenting, that the way that I think works is two things that I think summarizes parenting is roots and wings. You know, roots are going to keep them rooted in what is valuable, what is important. You know, it's going to be what binds them to those values, the roots. As parents, if we give our kids roots when they're younger, when they're older and they grow their wings to leave the house, the roots will keep them grounded in the values that we have built. So when they flap their wings and fly out of the house, they have those values in them.
They're not still losing their roots.
Yes, exactly. Rooted, roots and wings. Rooted in values and wings to go out to the world and conquer the world with those values, to thrive and to flourish out there in the world. And they'll always come back to their roots. They'll always come back. We build a place that they feel comfortable to come back to. Even when they have wings to fly out, they'll fly out, but home will always be where they feel that the love and understanding is. Home should be a heaven, a refuge from the world out there. So I like those two things, roots and wings. For me, roots and wings. A summary of my parenting skills that I pass on to my kids too.
Amazing. You've answered one question which I was going to ask, which is about, should parents seek counsel from other parents, since every child is different? But like you said, we can help each other.
Yes.
I mean, it's not about specifics. It's about, look, this worked for me. You could try this.
Exactly. And I like the way you use the word counsel, because it's not saying advice. It's not saying copy another parent. You know, I like the word counsel. Counsel is about conversational. It's about, okay, hey, let me ask you this. So, this is what I'm experiencing. You know, and counsel means that you're exploring with somebody else. You're putting down some things on the table. You're talking about it. You're getting ideas from them, knowing that what they say may not fit you 100%.
Yes, that's what I was thinking about.
What's relevant to you, what applies to you, what's going to be useful to you. That's why the counsel is about exploring, having a dialogue. You know, for example, if somebody has a very creative child, for example, and you have a child who is more of an introvert, and you go seek counsel from them, some of the things they tell you may not apply to you. You know, but some of the things may apply. So you find what's relevant and what's useful and what's applicable to your situation, and then you find and again, when you take that counsel back, you're going to take it in a way that's going to also be relevant to the child that you're talking to. Some kids like to be, you know, you got to know your child and know how they learn. Just like teachers need to know how students learn in school, parents need to know how their kids learn as well. If you know your child learns more in a very humorous way, then use that humor to teach them. If they learn in a very structured way. Use the structured way to teach them. Know how your child. Ask yourself this: how best is this going to register with my child? How best will I present this to them? That's going to make an impact that I want. So you know, the same way. How do you learn best? You know, teachers ask the questions in class all the time. Some kids are very visual learners. They learn by what they see. Some learn by doing. So ask yourself, as a parent too, we need to understand how best our kids learn. How best are we going to present this information to them? Is it going to be, for example, my dad used humor a lot. And you know him, boss. You know my dad. Humor was a big thing. He's going to teach you the most serious thing. You package it in humor. You know, you use humor to teach you that thing that when he's done, you are laughing, but you're learning at the same time. Because that was his style. You know, that was his style, and we liked it because, and it worked. It worked because when we're laughing, we're saying, it's true, that is true, you know, and we're laughing about it, but we've learned. You know, you say that, you know what, even when my older cousins, you say, look, when you're old enough and you start dating, you know, things like that, when you bring your spouses to meet us, a family, we're going to assess them and we're going to throw a gift up and you're going to create some fun things. But he's telling them that, you know, select and use your values when you're choosing. But he didn't come and he didn't do it in a lecture. He didn't do it in a lecture with like, sit down, you know. He used humor. He taught with humor a lot and it worked for me because I found it funny, but then I was laughing and learning. So think about how you relate to your kids. What method is going to be most effective to teach them things? Sometimes what you need to change is not what you're teaching them, it's how you're teaching them.
Teaching them.
How. The method. What method is going to work best with your kids? And let me say one more thing as well. If you have multiple kids, one method may not work for everybody. You know, so that's the truth of it.
It's not one size fits all.
Not one size. It would be nice if it was, but it's not, boss. It's not. That's why I'm telling you, as a mother of 3 girls, I wear 3 different hats for my 3 daughters. It's not one hat. It's not a one way. The way I will approach number 1 is the way I put number 2 and number 3. So it takes more work and effort, but it's worth it. I
the long run.
Approach them the same way because they're different personalities. People are different personalities. You can't expect kids are not like they're not a replica of each other.
It's not cloning, is it?
Exactly. So it's not a one cap fits all. So as a parent, you have to have an individuality with your children. Be very individual, customized version, custom made for them. You know, I call it custom made. This custom made for this child. I've customized it to size to fit their size, and that size fits their person. You know, you don't
amazing.
Exactly. And even you guys, there are 5 of you, and you're all. I remember even all of you too. You're all, you know, I remember the personalities are different. You know,
very.
So and I saw your mom do that too. The way she approached, you know, so we learn things from our parents. They too did it in a very maybe not in a formal way, but informally we were doing that. They know that, you know, so these are all things that we can think about and apply, you know, that customized way of dealing with our kids and saying, okay, this is how this kid is, this is how I can approach this kid and get the results that I think will help them. And then, so it's hard work, but, you know, it's worth it. Parenting is not an easy thing, honestly, but it's worth it. It's worth every sweat, every sleepless night, every stress is ultimately worth it. But you know what? If with God on our side, it replenishes our energy. Honestly, I don't know how we do it sometimes, but somehow we find ourselves doing it. Honestly, if somebody showed you a video ahead of what parenting, people will not have kids. They'll be like, I can't do that. So you know what I mean? You know, but somehow the grace of God is sufficient.
Yes.
You know, that somehow when we look back, we're wondering how we sail through. But
doing. I mean, I commend moms. I mean, it is well worth it, like Tony said. I mean, we're virtually run out of time. I wish we could just keep talking. Then we're going to have to have part 2 of this or something like that. You know, and you said so much in so little time. I always try to keep this within a certain time. And
yes, of course.
I think one thing that we're going to take away is, for one, ultimately is about values. Yes. Everything we do is about values. It's about building relationship with your children. Have those conversations and being willing to be vulnerable to them, vulnerable with them. Take the feedback, like I said, it's not criticism, it's feedback. Okay.
Feedback. Constructive feedback.
Not that your child will come and be talking anyhow.
Right. Because what constructive means that you are constructing. You want to come out with a constructive solution. It's not about anybody can point out the problem. The real value is in the solution. You know, it's in the solution. Yes. Anybody can say what the problem is. Everybody can sit down and complain about the government, the community, the workplace. Anybody can say what the problem is. What is the solution? That is where the value really is in solution, you know. So as a parent too, when we talk about problems, let's always focus our energy more on the solution than the problem itself. Acknowledge the problem, but focus on the solution. Use your energy more for talking about the solution than the problem, you know. And all these things we're saying, you know, it's not by power, it's not by might, it's by the grace of God, by the faith. Faith to me is my fuel. I say that all the time, and it's not a cliche. It's not just a phrase that I say. Faith is where I go to get replenished. You know, that's where I draw strength from, because it's not easy. It's not always natural. It's not always, you know, it's not, sometimes it's easier said than done, but we can do it if we hold on to faith as our anchor, as our foundation, as our fuel. That's where we're going to get the energy to do it. The grace, the energy, and everything. That's my own go-to place. That's where I refuel my energy, my engine every day. Sometimes 3 times a day, self, if I need to. You can go to that place.
God,
yes, you can refuel as many times as you want in a day.
Yes.
Some days need more fuel than others, you know.
Yes.
And one thing I want to tell moms especially is, don't care about who's watching and what people think. You know, it's not a competition. So if you're having a challenging situation, focus less on what people say or how you will look or who's judging you. Focus on your goals, what you want to accomplish. You know, what you want to accomplish. It doesn't matter how it looks, because it is about you and your family, not about the world. You know, focus on what you know, what it means to you. You know what I mean? As opposed to trying to impress people out there, like impress people with that. Okay, if somebody's child is studying medicine, and maybe your child is more into the creative, and they want to do something creative. Don't worry about the fact that maybe you can't say, "My child is doing medicine." Doesn't matter. You know, you're not competing with that other family and that other child. It's about what's going to help your child thrive. So let's focus less on impressing the world and focus more on building our families and helping our families thrive and our kids thrive and flourish. It's more about that than anything else. You know, it's about you and family. If you're not sleeping at night, if you're up at night, it's not the people that are going to come and help you. It's going to be you and your 2 heirs and God and your children. So don't care about what other people are doing. Don't try and bring somebody else's copy people and try and bring what they're doing to your house without really thinking about it in a constructive way and see whether it's going to fit you or not. You know?
Thank you. I mean, I just have to applaud. Kemi, thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. I'm sure everybody had a good time. Yes, social creative people are making money. In fact, they're the ones making money these days.
And I'm glad that it's too busy. And I'm glad that this generation of parents, where we began to see creativity as a different thing than in our generation. In our generation before, those things were looked at a little differently. In our parents, were more old school. Now, parents are beginning to be more flexible now. You know, whether they embrace their kids' creativity, like whether they're into dancing, singing, artists, drawing, and all that. They're beginning to see that these are valuable things too. It doesn't make them less than in any way. You know, it doesn't make them less than. So
it's not doctor, lawyer, any engineer anymore.
They all come together to make the world a better place. You know, that's the thing. The doctor is going to have a painting in his house that an artist drew. If there's no artist, who's going to create those beautiful pictures that the doctors are going to put in the house, the engineers, the lawyers, and all that?
It costs more than the doctor's salary.
If there are no chefs, how is the lawyer going to eat if there are no chefs? You know, if there are no event planners, who's going to plan that wedding that you're saying, I want my daughter to get married? Who will plan that wedding? So every skill, every career is valuable. You know, every career is valuable. It's more important to teach people values and let them use their skills than trying to keep up with the Joneses and follow what everybody's doing, you know. So I think that's the valuable thing that parents really understand, that, you know, it's more about the value that you bring than the nature of the job. Some people have left those professional careers and now they're doing creative stuff. Even some parents have hung their lawyer wig and they're now doing event planners and all that. You know, the world is about the value you bring to the world, not your job title or what you're doing, you know. So I think, and right now people are doing that. That's why they say now that happiness is a new success. You know, if your child is happy and thriving, honestly, you'll be less concerned about that than if they're doing a career that they're depressed and they're taking medication for depression on. As a parent, you know, which one do you want to pick? You're going to ask yourself the reality of those questions. If you want your child to thrive and flourish, then focus on what is really important than just going with the world standards of what the success means. Define success by your own values and by your own values, not by what the world says success means. You know, that's my personal way that I approach for myself too. You know, I go by what is meaningful to me and what I find fulfilling, not what people in the world say success means. So
thank you. Well, that's it, people. That's all we can take for today. Kem, You know I love you.
I love you. Loving you right back, sis. Loving you right back.
Thank you, everyone. I'm sure we all had a lovely time on Mom's Word. Of course, you can go back and watch this again. I'm going to try and save it. You know, just go and watch it. You can see more of what Kem does. She's on Kem Sparkle. And I mean,
yes,
Kem is so much.
Yes, and for the moms, you know, young ladies, if you're on the call, teenagers, tell your moms, self-care is so great for moms. We need everything I've said now. You can see how self-care is important. We need to replenish. So Kem Sparkle at Kem Self-Care, you know, it's all about replenishing and kids, teenagers, know that we as parents, we love you, we want the best for you. We're cheering for you, we're supporting you, and we're your cheerleaders, you know. So anybody who's thinking so much right now that maybe your parents, you know, honestly, nobody can have your back the way your mom has your back or your parents have your back. Know that, you know, and the earlier you know that, the better. You know, so many people say, oh, now I see what my mom was saying. The earlier you grasp that truth, it will serve you better. The earlier, the better. So
thank you so much, Kemi.
Thanks, everybody.
If I don't stop, Kemi, we're going to continue all day.
Oh yes. So I want you, everybody. Thank you so much, everybody. Thank you. God bless you. Love you.
Thank you, everyone. Kems, I love you. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. I hope you all had a lovely time. I'm sure we've taken so much. The next episode of Mom's World will be the end of April. I have another amazing mom who's going to join us. And meanwhile, Young and Strong, my young people, you know, we'll be back again in 2 weeks. Tuesday, I have another young person who's going to be talking. Thank you, everyone. And God bless you. And have a lovely Easter week as we celebrate the death and resurrection of our Lord Jesus Christ. God bless you, Kem. God bless you. Bye, everyone. Bye-bye. Thank you. Bye.